The layman, as well as the scientist, must think differently and express his thoughts with a greater understanding of natural law. The layman, for example, who says, John is dead, and thinks of John as being John's body, is not expressing the facts of natural law. John is not John's body. John is not dead, nor can he die. The eternal John is an ideal of mind. His depolarized body is but one end of a longer cycle than the cycle of his incoming-outgoing breath, but not one whit different. His breathing will repolarize in another second, but his depolarized body will take a longer period, just as the depolarized oak will repolarize again from its zero in its seed. The scientist must also think in terms of polarity and use terms which have that connotation in them. I will give an example of my meaning by quoting a paragraph from the Scientific American, January 1952. Even more confusing is the fact that all the mesons, pi and mu, undergo spontaneous disintegration. Why not say that they have become depolarized, or that they have attained their equilibrium, or that they have attained zero? The simple fact is that the motion which gave them seeming being has ceased. There is no such effect in nature as spontaneous disintegration. I will quote the rest of the same paragraph to call attention to the needless complexity of descriptive terminology, which belief in substance seems to make necessary. It is as follows. When left alone in free space, a positive or negative pi meson decays into a positive or negative mu meson, and a neutrino within about 250 millionth of a second. Then, the positive or negative mu meson decays into a positive or negative electron plus 2 neutrinos within about 2 millionth of a second. The neutral psi meson also is unstable and decays into 2 gamma rays in a very short time indeed, about 100 millionth of a second. The above is very complex and confusing way of saying that matter has disappeared by depolarization because motion has ceased. God's universe consists solely of vibrating waves of two-way interchanging motion. Every effect in nature is included in that simplicity. Any child will fully comprehend you when you tell him that sound is an effect caused by rapid vibrations. You can demonstrate it by plucking a harp string so that he can see that the sound is caused by rapid motion. You do not even need to tell him that the sound ceases when the motion ceases. His common sense will tell him that. If, however, you tell him the wire is composed of positive protons which decay into negative electrons in 100 millionth of a second to produce sound, then the negative electrons decay into silence in another 100 millionth of a second, he will look at you blankly and understand not one word of it. All of these many named particles, which science thinks of as differently charged substances, are all basically the same spiral units of motion. These are constantly being transformed from one condition to another, as each divided pair obeys the polarizing charge of gravity until it has completed the outward half of its journey to its reversal point of rest. It then returns as each one depolarizes and withdraws within its fulcrum zero of rest. Exactly the same thing is true of all of the elements. Science has given them 92 names and listed their many attributes such as metals, metalloids, and nonmetals, alkalis, and acids, brittle and pliable, conductive and non-conductive, dense, liquid, soft, gaseous, and many other attributes. To anyone, whether scientist or layman, a piece of iron, a piece of aluminum, and a lump of gold are three different metals, which have always been and always will be just what they unquestionably are. Three unalterable, different substances. Any other interpretation of them would be unthinkable. That is the kind of thinking, however, which must be relegated to past ages. Mankind must henceforth learn to look upon matter as a transient motion picture record of the ideal which it simulates, for that is what it really is, a cosmic cinema thrown upon the majestic screen of space. The new concept of matter. All of the many seeming substances in this universe are but many different pressure conditions. These have been created by the interchange of two-way motion between two opposed poles of rest, which have been extended from the zero universe of knowing mind to simulate the multiple ideas of thinking mind. Any form of matter becomes another form of matter if its pressure condition is changed. Nature perpetually changes one form of matter into another by perpetually changing its pressure conditions. Every element in the entire periodic table is a transmutation from the preceding element of its cycle, from its beginning in zero to the ending of the entire 9 octaves in the zero of its beginning. The age of transmutation of the elements by man begins when he has full knowledge of the manner in which nature transmutes one element into another. Creation, postulated progressively. Number 1, this universe of moving body forms is an expression of the desire for division of the formless, sexless, father-mother balanced unity into pairs of equally and oppositely unbalanced, disunited, sex-conditioned father and mother moving body forms. The purpose of this division into sex-conditioned, disunited pairs of father and mother moving body forms is to eternally extend the desire for unifying disunited father and mother body forms in order to eternally extend desire in them for repeating their sequences of division and unity. Number 3, the only energy in the universe is the pulsing desire of mind for the creative expression of mind knowing by giving thought-imaged body forms to the ideal of mind knowing. The only means of expressing the pulsing desire of mind ideal is through the concentrated, decentrated pulsations of mind thinking. Mind thinking is electric. The desire pulsations of electric thinking are concentrative and decentrative. Concentrated thinking focuses ideal into pattern form in seed of matter to manifest the fatherhood of creation. To focus is to compress. The product of concentrated thinking is the compression of gravitation which fathers all body forms. Decentrative thinking expands conceived ideal from its pattern seed and extends it outward from seed ideal to give it body form of ideal, and thus manifest the motherhood of creation. To extend is to expand. The product of decentrative thinking is the expansion of radiation which mothers all body forms. The mother pole of creation unfolds the moving body form, its seed ideal, and projects it toward its zero in the heavens of space. The father pole of creation refolds the extending mother form into its seed and withdraws it toward its zero in body forms of earth. All body forms of matter give forth pulsing life as its action and receive pulsing death as its reaction. All body forms of matter are both womb and tomb of all life and death. All life is born from death, and death is born from life, for reborn in death and life. All opposites born each other and become each other in alternate sequences. The seed is the fulcrum zero, from which the divided father and mother body forms extend and sequentially return for re-extension. The seed of all things centers all things. It is the fulcrum of the eternally manifested tree of life, and of every root, branch, and leaf, and of every corpuscle of every root, branch, and leaf. The soul centers the seed of all ideal. All action-reaction pulsations of living, dying body forms are recorded in the soul seed of all living, dying body forms. All living body forms are dying as they live and living as they die. Veritably, death is born in the very cradle of life, and the tomb again cradles death as life. 15. The electrochemical records of the zero seed of all things are the zero elements, which are known as the inert gases, from which center of the fulcrum zero of polarity all polarizing body forms extend to manifest vitalizing life and return as depolarizing forms to manifest devitalizing death. 16. The inert gases are God's recording and repeating system. They record, remember, and repeat all actions, reactions of all things from eternity into eternity. They broadcast all of creation to all of creation, and likewise receive the broadcast of all creation for rebroadcasting to all creation. The inert gases are zeros in the universal equilibrium. Polarity divides and extends the one light into electric thought wave cycles, which appear from the one still light as pairs of moving lights, and disappears into that still light for reappearance forever without end. 18. The inert gases are the spiritual elements which born and reborn the physical elements, and meticulously make spectrum records of their eternities of reborning. The inert gases record purposeful unfoldings and give back to each corpuscle of motion its cell memory of purpose and its instinctive guidance. They likewise give back to awakening consciousness the records of all cycles of soul awakening which have been written in the soul seeds of all unfolding, refolding body forms. The inert gases write down in God's books of light all that John and Bill and Sue have ever been. Likewise, what the ant, the elephant, the tiger, violet, and bee have ever been or have ever done since their beginnings, and give them back to them after every rest period which divides their cycles. 23. God's sole occupation is the building of moving body forms to simulate his one ideal of cause and effect, which creation is. All cause lies within the unconditioned, balanced magnetic light of mind knowing. All effect lies within the two unbalanced, polarized lights of electric thinking, which create the two unbalanced and opposed conditions which creation is. Electric thinking divides all effect into opposite pairs equally. Each one of each pair of effects is equal. Their balance is absolute. The balance of the universe cannot be upset by even 1/millionth of an electron's weight. The answer to this secret lies in further solving the mystery which surrounds polarity. Polarity has never been understood. It must now be understood.